Bogus. Bogus. Okay, that'll do. I guess the one I think I remember is I'll start like this. I don't mind if you say that you're going away. I just don't want to be lonely. I want to be loved. Thank you. May the power of Argonite propel you. May the power of Argonite propel you. May the power of Argonite, blue Argonite, propel you. You know, we always send out that Virgin energy, baby. It cuts through ignorance. The crystal Virgin. And we show you the verge of motion, which is still the thunderbolt, baby. It just shows you how the thunderbolt can also move in cardinal directions, I guess is the way to say it. And as we always show, we show the thunderbolt in here too. So giving out those verge of vibrations. Well, good morning. Good morning. Guess I can light up things a little more, even more. What's happening? This is the Chocolate Mountain Show, and I'm your super funky host. I am Big Pontiac. I am also the holder of the Infinite Sacred Ball game that was created by the Hero Twins, and I am your one and only Funky Galactic Daddy, welcoming each and every one of the Chocolate Mountaineers to my patio. From Minnesota to the universe. And tonight's special beer is still Boulder Shake. I'm not going to open it. I've been drank about four and I'm feeling pretty funky. So I got some water here too. But pop them if you got them. I'm still on the edibles, herb edibles, 50 milligrams. So smoke them if you got them. Yes, indeed. So tonight's recap, a little bit on the sports thing. Yeah. A little bit on the sports thing tonight. Well, I'll wait till Lorenzo come in. If Lorenzo comes in, because he was the one that was kind of one of his calls came in tonight. But smooth day today, easy day, smooth, easy. Okay, yeah, smooth and easy day today. Got to play pickleball. They was having a league night, so I played some warm up games with some people. Got my workout on. The weather is kind of without really any storm around this area. We've had storms around the state. I can't necessarily say tornado. There was tornado warnings last night. Didn't see any evidence of a tornado, but um the wind, the temperature changed dramatically. Went to like from the 90s yesterday to like the 80 today. Or 2 days ago 90 and then like 80 something yesterday, and then today it was like in the 70s. It got in the 50s last night. Got in the 50s last night. People got air conditioned, central air, all kind of air going, and then last night it dips down to the 50s. Tonight it's supposed to be into the 50s as well, so it's a big dramatic change. But the thing that kills pickleball and it makes it not terribly fun, and if you got to play, you just got to play through it. But wind is one of the things that makes the games not fun. I mean, what's interesting is the ball is like old wiffle balls. And for old people that played with the old plastic bat and wiffle balls, matter of fact, it used to be wiffle ball leagues. And the things that dudes who was getting paid and sponsored to play wiffle balls, it was just crazy what they could make wiffle balls do. Well, pickleball is very similar in that way when hitting the ball and the ball moving. I mean, the ball really moves at times in winds in a really strange manner, wiffle ball like. I mean, one shot I looked at it like, yeah, one shot came in. It was like no way it should have hit the line because it like the wind blew the ball over where the out of bounds, and then something blew it back and it whiffled its way and went inbounds. So, but got a decent workout. I got to play work out for about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, 20, 25 minutes, just working out, and then played 2 games. So it was kind of cool. So still keeping sharp, still need a new racket. And when I get that, then that'll help and get to playing. But yeah. So that's how kind of some of my day went. And I'll get into sports. I don't care. I'll just get into it. I did the pre-game look, and what was interesting, and one thing when I did my video, I pointed it out, and I thought I looked at how loose they showed Tampa Bay looking tonight, and again, it's all in context because last game they didn't show any pre-game stuff really, a whole lot of all that Tampa Bay did, or the game before, excuse me. But today they showed Tampa, and I kind of highlighted a guy laughing and saying maybe it's a possibility that they might set it up for them to come back. But the one thing that popped up to me sports wise was, and it really hit me as like, wait a minute, the Warriors went on the road. I was like, oh, that's what they're setting up. Now, last night I noticed they brought the cup out and they kind of sealed where the last game. They brought the cup out and it kind of sealed. It sealed where you could see that the Avalanche wasn't going to win at home. But tonight when they did it, or Saturday night when they did it, it was at the 6:44 mark, and I was like, this is what they're doing. So wasn't surprised that the Avalanche won. Wasn't quite surprised. Wasn't any I'll say that the first goal that the Avalanche got was more than likely offside. And even one of the officials kind of agreed with me because I get this from one of the announcers. One of the announcers said, he said in February the offsides would be called, but now that it's we're into this season, they didn't call it. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is a penalty, but you're saying because of the time of year, the penalty shouldn't be called. I thought that kind of was a tell. That to me was a kind of tell. So I thought that was kind of it's like a penalty is a penalty no matter what time of year it is. It's like when them saying that it's in the playoffs and you're going to call it tighter or looser or let them play in the playoffs. These are all tells. These are all things that show you that they can't be genuine because the rules never change. It ain't no rules that say, like with college basketball, March Madness, that it should be officiated any different or officiated any tighter. I mean, what Tim Doherty told you, if you read his book, how they would target people, to look for things that certain people did to make calls against those people. So same thing kind of we probably kind of see applying. Oh, there he is. I didn't get the number of games that it was going to be won, but I got the team right winning it. Yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to wait. But you got Ole Miss right too, Lorenzo. I wanted to give you that. You got Ole Miss right. And I ain't even watched really much college baseball at all. It's not really very exciting baseball. But you're the one that put together that Ole Miss would win, and Ole Miss did win. Yeah, at the 6:44, because what I said in my video, if you catch the end of the video I made, I said, one thing I caught, because like I looked at how they was dancing and stuff for Tampa Bay, but then I looked again how serious when they showed the Avalanche. And that was and I made the comment, I was like, but I'm looking how serious the Avalanche are, and compared to how serious Tampa Bay was, and again, it's context of how it's shot. But it was a scene where in the locker room you saw a seriousness before they went on the ice with the Avalanche. Then when the difference was the upbeat, and so it was kind of a reversal if you see the way it was shot. So that's why I kind of caught the seriousness. In 6:44 mark, when it still was a possibility they could have tied the game up, I looked at it like, oh, no, they couldn't. I like, oh, okay. And that's why I'm sorry I took it in a circle. But at the 6:44 mark, they pulled out the Stanley Cup. The last game, they pulled it out. It wasn't the 6:44 mark. But to me, I was like, oh, okay, that's cold. But I'm seeing this 44 right now. And I'm like, oh, okay. This time when they pull it out, because they did the same thing the previous game. But this time they pulled it out. I was like, okay. So, but yeah, I don't know if you quite got the hockey right, but yeah, you did. But you got Ole Miss right too in College World Series. So yeah, definitely salute. You got that. I lost what I invested. I lost what I invested in from winning in the early round. So that's how it goes. I lost on the hockey. Yeah, I lost. I didn't hedge any bets. I lost on that. So that's how it goes. That's how it goes. I did lose this. No shame in admitting it. Wasn't a terrible amount. It was just money I carried over from the other game. So that's what I lost. So yeah, not terrible. I was talking about the Avalanche winning it, but I also got I know you was talking about the Avalanche, but I wanted to say, I thought about you when I saw the score. You definitely got the Ole Miss right, because when I saw the score, again, I didn't see it. It came down on the trailer. And when I saw that, I thought about you. I was like, oh shoot, that's Lorenzo. Lorenzo said, I wasn't even really keeping any track, not really. But when I saw that on the the tracker, I was like, Lorenzo got that right. I was like, okay, he was right about that. So definitely salute out to you. If I had more in my glass, I would drink to you more, but I only have that little bit. I still got beer taste, so salute. But yeah, you got that right. You should have put some money on that Ole Miss. I should have too. I should have listened to you and put some money. I just don't follow it enough. They play so many games in the College World Series. I mean, it's amazing the amount of games. Now my eyes want to water. Okay, that they play, but they play out so many games. So uh, rub my eye, make my eyes redder. Darren's like, why are your eyes so red? My eyes are always red. So, but yeah, you got that on point. Yeah, and so now pretty much everything is over. Even the USFL, they hit me with a copyright for the USFL, the Follies. Now, last week I did the USFL Follies. They didn't do that. But this week they did something. It's the first time they hit me, but I'm not. I was trying to monetize it anyway. I'm like, okay, so that's. But it shows you because I'm trying to think the two teams, and I didn't know they wasn't traveling. I really didn't. I'm slow about that. Some of them games, the teams was playing at the same. I know Birmingham was one of the spots where they was playing at, and they were kind of smart to put the game at the finals next week are going to be at Canton, Ohio, the Football Hall of Fame. And a little known of my facts, I've been to the Football Hall of Fame 5 times in my life. I haven't been since I was 12 or 13, but I've been 5 times. As a child, we went that many times. I've been there 5 times, but I haven't been since I was 12. So it tells you that's over 50 years ago. Last time I went was 50. So it's changed a lot. When I went to the Football Hall of Fame, the heads, and it's to show you how much it's changed. The last time I went to the Football Hall of Fame, they used to have the heads and they had pictures drawn. Not actual pictures, but they actually drew a picture of the player in action. And so they had their little booth. Each player had their own little booth with a picture of them playing, which in a way is a lot, kind of interesting. But do you see what they went for now? Because the head bust goes back to Rome. You know that. When you see those Pro Football Hall of Fame busts, baseball don't do that. Baseball's stuck to a plaque. So, you see the bust go back to the Roman bust. But that's what they used to have a bust, but it was a little story. So you could see the player in action, a little beautiful picture drawn. Nothing of that. It went straight for like the Roman Colosseum of just putting all the heads together. And perhaps they ran out of room for doing that, but that's what it used to be like. And it's not like that. It's just all the heads together, That's good enough. Appreciate that. Yeah, you was on point, bro. You should have. Yeah, that I really should have listened to you. And again, because when I was looking at doing parlays, the one tonight, Yankees won. I won on Yankees. I lost, but what fucked it up was I lost because I did my regular bet, but I saw the parlay, so I took the Avalanche, Yankees. Trying to think, I can't remember the third team right now in the parlay, but I lost it tonight. I lost that too. The Yankees won, but I lost on the so I thought they played the semi. Nah, the semifinals was today. They was calling it playoff Saturday. Y'all, you didn't catch the commercial. The commercial was a trip. It's like playoff Saturday, USFL style. So NBC put on one game. Who put on the other game? NBC Fox. Yeah, because it was it Fox? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Fox put on the other game. Yes, because Jimmy Johnson did a speech yesterday. So Fox put on the first game. The second game was on NBC. And I didn't watch the second game. I was watching hockey. Yeah, I didn't watch the top, but I know who won. So the second game came on when I went to play pickleball. Yeah, and I didn't miss it because of hockey. I missed it because I went to play pickleball. So yeah. So the finals are set. I don't even remember who are in the Generals who were losing think the Generals made it. I think the Generals in Birmingham made it. Hey, Sharilita, thank you. But yeah, Lorenzo, they're gonna be in Canton next weekend. PJ doesn't live terribly far from that place. Canton from Cincinnati. It ain't terribly far. But when I was young, we went all the time. I don't know where all the people went funding, but we went all the time. My father took me. I went with my stepfather. It's like we went so much. My father took me, my stepfather and my mother. We went. I went with another group of just the little boy football group, and I think we with that group we went 3 times. Yeah, so I when I was young, I went a bunch of times when I was young. Sometimes I think I went twice one year. I went, wow, if I would have kept that book, I went to merger year. Yeah, I went to merger year. The first time I went was the merger year. I remember that now. I forgot about that. Yeah. First time I went was the year the NFL and the AFL merged. So 70, 71, something like that. But welcome, Sharonita. How you doing? So that's how long I've been trying to do my thing, you know. But that's how long I've been, immersed in the system and loving it, loving football. I've been, loving football since I was that young. I just did geometry, but I went more with the story. The story was Avalanche ain't won the title in 21 years. That's why they closed the series winning 2-1. Ah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes good sense. I'll say I'll still argue. My argument would still be sports like dynasties, and I just, as much as hockey is kind of popular again, I just thought that they were trying to push the dynasty thing too. So kind of surprised. Shit, the one guy the guy who won basically MVP, what, 13 goals in the playoffs, something like that. I think I saw the one player that got the basically MVP for the Avalanche, something like 13 goals. Yeah, 2 tonight. No, he had 1 tonight. 1 tonight. But again, that first one should have been called a penalty, and they let it go. But that's sports for you. And then they even asked the coach. He's like, "Yeah, we were looking at it as a penalty. It was a penalty." But he was like, "That's." I mean, what could he say? Because he knew what they had done. And they kept replaying and showing you it was a penalty. And then the announcer had to say it. It's like, yeah. So, but you're right. They did win 2-1 tonight. So this is the dead time of summer. All the major sports are off until the NFL camps open up. But it was last night was a Canadian football game prime time on ESPN. Tonight was Dodgers and Braves. That game probably off by now. But that game might still be on. But the Dodgers and Braves was on. So that's what I started watching Umbrella Academy. And what is his name on Umbrella Academy? He supposedly came out. And as I started watching Umbrella Academy, I said it is trans people that play in Umbrella Academy. And sure enough, that Billy dude, whatever his name is, he came and said, well, I've been feeling like I was a girl, but now I'm going to come out because I am a guy. And I was like, it's two. And the one that plays the woman, but that was in Hamilton, that one too. The sister that's on the show, that too. But the 2 shows I watched were stupid. Poor writing. They've had almost 3 years to come up. They copied. What did I just watch? They just copied something. Oh, well, what is that called? The Alien show I was watching. Yeah, they copied kind of some of that story. So some of the stories like a rehash of other kind of shows, and I'm like, this show was interesting because they put some new information out there. There wasn't really any new information that I was seeing. So the very first 2 episodes are kind of very disappointing. So we'll see. We'll see how the rest of it plays out. But it was a very innovative first two seasons. But this the writing. I don't know what changed, but it's just not as good. So one of the few things that I'll try to watch to see what they're trying to propose. But what they're trying to show is not really much information to get. So so a little disappointed, but still I'll push through to see what happens. But doesn't look promising. Let me say this too. Please don't anybody take this personal. But I'll say this. Yeah. Yeah. This one point I want to get out about what's popular today. And what people don't really understand. So one thing Margaret Sanger was part of and Bill Gates' dad, when you looked at the eugenics program, now what you have to understand is how eugenics, and this is explained very, very good in 400 Years of Class Distinction, or basically the more popular title is Poor White Trash. She gets a little bit into what I'm about to say, a little bit. Eugenics wasn't entirely just for melanated people and the native people. It wasn't entirely for that. It was also, a lot of it was to stop what they call poor white trash, or stop imbeciles, which they called the poor from Europe, to stop them from breeding with their people as well. Because the way love plays out in America is a little differently. And so to really understand, and they're, European people are just as devastated by abortion as melanated people. But it was also used against poor Europeans too. And I don't think that's talked about enough. Most people are talking about how melanated people are affected, but they went after if you say non-blue blood, they went after them too. So I wanted to say that. Wanted to put that out. And the second part is a little history. Oh my goodness. The history of Europe is so ugly. It's so filthy. I mean, all the plagues that have come out of Europe, all the wars. I mean, it wasn't bad enough that these people getting these plagues, anytime these people had a healthy time, they would go to war with each other and kill each other. If a plague wasn't killing them, war was killing them. And a lot of times when you have war starts plagues because you start mass grouping people. That's one thing. If you study our Civil War, one thing that really did the South in big time was mass grouping people and sicknesses. The North had a little more men, more Europeans, but more men. And so mass sicknesses. And so it was like if Europe wasn't having plagues, they were trying to kill each other. And so the people that came over to America were some of the most pus beings. They were pus. If you really looked at who came over with Columbus and the Europeans, they were beings that oozed pus. So living in medieval Europe was horrible. If it wasn't war, if it wasn't disease, it was also famine. And as little as 100 years ago in Russia, Stalin starved out mass numbers, millions of people. He just starved them. He starved them so bad that the Americans had to go in. Hoover, when Hoover was Secretary of State, I think. I mean, they would go in houses, and don't you know, if you have fleas can give you disease that can kill you. But these people were so poor that the fleas were so thick on the wall, it looked like newspaper. It looked like paper on the walls. The people couldn't get rid of them. And fleas live on humans. And not only were the fleas attacking people, matter of fact, you couldn't even get in contact with people that had this stuff. It would get you. And so Stalin just starved millions of these people. So famine is another thing that devastated people all over Europe. France, Spain, famine, people starving to death. I mean, in Europe, it was very common for people to starve to death for, like thousands of people at the same time. Like if you traveled from village to village to village, everybody's starving to death. One thing in the crops didn't go out right. One thing in the meats, one thing made something go bad. As I said before, what they did with the Irish is one time they let the Irish grow all the food, cut it all up. Then the British went in there with warships and troops and took all the food away and tried to starve the Irish people to death. And then the way they talk about niggas, they tried to do the Irish. They was like, after taking all their food away, then saying that they were too lazy to do anything because they didn't have any food. It wasn't that they was too lazy, but this is what the British tried to do. And as I've talked many times before, the British tried to kill the Irish by building a road to nowhere. They was just building roads, just trying to kill people, working them to death. And again, they don't want this stuff taught. You know how treacherous it used to be in the cities? One thing they would do is people, when they started building high rises in Europe, people would be around with big boulders. And if they saw you with something nice on, they would try to throw rocks at you from above. You would have no idea that you'd being attacked. This is how treacherous it was. I mean, Europe was not a great place to live. As I said, they were stealing children in Europe, bringing them to America for a long time. It was allowed. I mean, Dane Calloway gets in a little bit. It's easier to indoctrinate the children. So it's children's slavery around the world. I mean, you have no idea. It appears like in some ways it ain't even stopped. So what did I miss? I get what you were saying about sports like in dynasties. Also, another clue, ESPN had a special of the anniversary of the rivalry and the big fight between the Avalanche and the Red Wings. Wow. Okay. I guess I didn't see that. Wow. And I think I watched that series between them. And I missed that. That's a good catch. Good catch, Lorenzo. I know it's a little, delay between me and you, but good catch. I was on my rant. That's a good catch, though. Because I didn't catch that one. I did not catch that one, but good catch. I have a lot to say. Sorry, cut out early last night. Sometimes I move. What does he say? Sometimes I rap fast. Sometimes I rap slow. It's kind of, sometimes I can do longer times. Sometimes I can do slower times. So just vibe with me. That's what I appreciate. I appreciate everybody just vibes with me. And that's what it's about. It's like whoever vibes with me. I don't look at this thing as, winning or losing. I look at this thing as, I think Sly said it best, as, a way of getting out what I like, what I confess. I guess this is my confession. Confessor, This is my chance to be the confessor. So this is my therapy in a way. This is my giving freely. As I say, I give out a lot freely, like especially if you join me now, no commercials. You just get to see me rock. So it's not like the information is not giving. Speaking of fights, did you see Mariners and Angel fight? You know what? I didn't look it up on my phone. I was going from SportsCenter 2, trying to catch it, but I didn't see it yet. Now I saw them talk about it, but they say they don't play that stuff when they throw at a person. Yeah, they don't play that baseball because there was a player. He led the league in hitting the year before, and I want to say that was 62 or 63. His name was Tony something, played for Boston, but you can look that up. And he coming back the following year. This was again before they wore helmets. Everybody didn't wear helmets. I noticed Roberto Clemente, I think from 1960 on, he started wearing helmet, batting helmet, but a lot of guys didn't. And this Tony guy from Boston, they hit him in the eye on purpose. Kirby Puckett got hit in the pitch, it gave him glaucoma. Kirby Puckett, his career got shortened and he got glaucoma from being hit in the face with a baseball. But there's this player named Tony something that played with Boston. There's a cover of him on Sports Illustrated. Oh my goodness. And you know, when they took the picture, it had to be when a lot of the swelling went down. And even with the swelling down, it was horrible. And it ruined his career. So that is where, you know, being hit with a baseball, especially being hit in a vulnerable area, is where baseball takes the same risk as football. And there's very few times that baseball takes that risk. But being hit and purposely thrown at is one of those times. So that seems to be the one thing that sets them off. And I think some of the fights are natural fights. I mean, there's players that you don't like. You might have played against somebody in the farm league you don't like. And that's just kind of sometimes it happens. So I don't know that it's staged. It seems like fights have been organic. I've watched baseball long enough, and sometimes it appears like they're organic. I don't know if y'all remember this, but the Chicago Cubs had a fight. And the Chicago Cubs had an old coach. Oh, my goodness. He was an old ball player, too. But he was really chubby, short dude with a big head. And he goes out to one of the pitchers, and the pitcher just like bushes him down. And so Saturday Night Live kept showing that. They showed the same thing, how the old dude, but Saturday Night Live, he kept getting up over and over again. The dude kept mushing him down. But I can't think of what pitcher, but it's like he went out to the pitcher, like this old dude, like bulls out to the pitcher. And he had to be like 5'6", somewhere. Old, big ass head, big pot belly, old coach, but he was an old player too. And the player just mugged him. He went out there and the player just mugged him. And Jeff Van Gundy holding on to somebody's leg, you know, in the bottom of the pile. Like, I got in there. You see, I'm tough. Get your ass up out of there. I can't say that I've been to. My team was involved in personal fights. I did see when my dad coached high school in the 70s, for some reason, whatever team they played, the football team ended up stomping them. And I mean, our team manager / water boy was fighting on the field. The team, after they got their ass whooped, jumped on the bus. They was like, you guys can go change. They was like, fuck that, we get up out of here. But it was funny to watch the players fight. I mean, it was it was like some hood fighting, but on the football field. And then to hear the dudes afterwards talking about how they would stomp at people, and I was just sitting there cracking up. And I remember after they got done getting beat up on the field, they just ran onto their bus. And my dad was trying, being the coach, he was trying the other team's coach. He was like, "You guys can make trades." They was like, "Fuck that." They took off. But that was really the only major fight. Now, I've said this before. I watched a playoff tournament game, high school tournament game, where the fans beat up the referees. And that's why in Michigan, after that, and even for pretty much, all district level games and on up, the referees had cops with them. But I saw the fans beat up these cheating refs. Ben Harbor played somebody and got cheated. I remember they got cheated bad. It was like terrible cheating. And after the game, the Ben Harbor fans, because the refs, to go back to their locker room, they had to go through the fans, and they didn't make it. Matter of fact, where they had to walk wasn't where they got caught and beat up, wasn't nowhere near. They didn't let them get over there. They beat their ass. And as I said, I was where the stairs was. I could walk down the stairs and watch them beating the people up, because we had to hold up. And I just got caught on the stairs. We had to kind of hold up because they was down there. They had tore the fence apart, and they was beating them with the little wood parts. They beat the shit out them refs for cheating. But far as me personally playing, I can't ever remember a major fight. Not playing, not like that. I was telling my son, I had a friend, and I talked about him before. Jackie was shit. Wow, Jackie probably had me by, if not 10 years, 8 or 9 at least. He was that much older than me, but he was still hooping. He hooped with us. And Jackie was a cat that never played high school basketball, ended up going to Southern Illinois. Yeah, Jackie played ball at Southern Illinois, one of his cousins played, and Jackie was just playing with him in the summer. From Chicago, though, lived in Michigan. I don't even know when he lived in Michigan, so let me not start saying more than I know. But I know he didn't play high school ball. He played at Southern Illinois. Maybe he played 2 year. I don't know, but he played at Southern. I don't even think he played 2 year. He played at Southern Illinois, I think, and he ended up playing pro ball over in Europe for a number of years. But when I started hooping, we was playing semi-pro together at Battle Creek. He was always on my teams, or we played against him. This was the old dude, and I mean, he probably had me by 8 years, I'm guessing. But he was the old dude that fought the most in games. I remember we played one game, and he punched like the other team had one dude that really was the only person that was gonna give us trouble. And Jackie punched that dude during the game. We beat him anyway, but Jackie punched the shit out that young boy. And then we would go down to state. I think I told the Terry Durod story, and Jackie punched one of them cats from Detroit. Jackie didn't care. He had been kicked out of the state tournaments numerous years before for the same kind of thing. So he's one dude that just would fire. He didn't like it. He would just fire on somebody. And he was old firing on people. He didn't care. The commentators tried to guilt shame for Pedro for doing. Yes, Pedro Martinez. Yeah. That's the Cubs, the Red Sox, Yankees. You got it. You're right. Not the Cubs. Pedro Martinez did that to Zimmerman. Yeah, Don Zimmer. Zimmer was a coach and a player. Sorry, I missed that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. The fights I like real blows thrown. This is between division rivalries. I'm sorry. But Zimmerman, Don Zimmerman. Yeah, they had Pedro doing that, but it was funny what Saturday Night Live did. Yeah, you're right. It was the Yankees, but Don Zimmer wasn't the head coach at the time, but he had been head coach and he was the ex-player too. But they kept making fun, because he just barreled in with his head down. But then Pedro, that shit was funny if you watched it live. And it seemed like I watched the game live because it seemed like that was a national game. And that happened during the national game. Because I'm sure I saw that live. Pretty sure. I've always been a pretty big pro baseball fan. High school, not so much, but definitely pro. College, I mean. College, not so much, but definitely pro. So, yeah. Don Zimmer, yeah. If you can find that skit on Saturday Night Live, it's really funny. It's a really funny skit. Clouds, we're supposed to have last couple of days, we're supposed to have all the planets in alignment. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. But last night, nothing. Can't really say it was cloudy, but just did not get where the planets were in alignment. So if you look at your part of the world, perhaps, well, we're going into the 28th, right? 27th. Yeah. So maybe tonight. Maybe when I get done, I'll check it out. So we'll see. We will see. We will see. But yeah, I think for those of you that work early shift, you might be able to see that. So I think it's this morning. So you might even be able to catch it tonight. But it's supposed to get down to the 50s again tonight. Hey, D, how you doing? Thank you. It was on Fox. It was Joe Buck on commentary that game. It was Joe Buck the daddy, wasn't it? Back then, probably Joe Buck the daddy. What is the young Buck's name? Because the daddy used to be an announcer for years and years. That's another part. All the announcers that I watched throughout the years. Kurt Gowdy, that Buck, is Joe Buck the daddy Buck. I watched him. Oh my goodness. Trying to think the dude who called the Rose Bowl the granddaddy of them all. There was a dude named Chris Schenkel. Wild World of Sports. I used to watch the Wild World of Sports. That's where you saw a number of Ali fights on, was ABC. ABC, Howard Cosell. And they kind of made Howard Cosell famous with Ali again at the same time when they brought Ali back. Howard Cosell, you know, and he was Jewish faith, but he was one dude that never wasn't cool with Ali. He was still getting him interviews and bringing him on his show on Wild World of Sports. But just as they hurt Gale Sayers because people wasn't caught up to his abilities, time is what they did to Ali. And you don't think they don't time people. Just look at what I repeated over and over again about Adrian Peterson. They took a year away from him in his prime over nothing, over straight agenda, straight making something into nothing, and took his prime from him. And so that brother, you know, doesn't sound like he was great in money. I mean, he had to play and get, you know, bobbled around. Remember when, I don't know if y'all remember when he first went to the Saints, they was playing the Vikings, and he just thought he was supposed to, you know, again, this is after sitting out a year, had a year in Minnesota, didn't do good, hurt half the season, and then got shipped off to New Orleans. And the look he's giving Peyton, you know, on the sideline. Oh, y'all look that up. He's like, well, I need to go in so he can beat the Vikings. I think the Vikings end up beating him. But that's the look he's getting Peyton, like, I need to be in there. They throwing the ball. They ain't got time for you. And he was an Eric Dickerson type of runner, too, for the most part. He ran high. But that's a robbery, you know. That's a robbery. It was like what they did to Ali was unreal and unjust in so many ways because they broke him. You know, Ali messed with the Nation of Islam, and Nation of Islam. You know, when they talking about no Vaseline, they had their hand all in Ali's pocket. That's why in the movie they try to downplay it, but it's what Ali said. Ali said Ali at that point, when they banned Ali, at that point, he had made more money than any boxer had ever made in history. From 1965 to 1968. And he says on live television, he was broke. So what happened to that money? Now, he cut off the Louisville group after, I think, the first Sonny Liston fight. He was done with them. So the 2 years between, I think, 66 and 68, he was with the Muslims, and they was managing his money. And as I've said many times, Ali couldn't read or write. I mean, barely read. He can sign an autograph. Anybody can sign an autograph. Remember, his name for most of his life was Cassius Clay. He could write Cassius Clay. They teach you that, how to write your name. But how does he lose all that money? How was he broke? So, I don't know if y'all know that little bit of history of Ali. So, really, Ali being banned for all those years, he was begging. Like that they say that how the family says they had to beg, you know, the nation for groceries or money or bills to be paid. How did they, what happened to all that money? It was like something like $30 million. I mean, taxes wasn't going to take all 30 million of it. What happened to it? I mean, he should have had enough money to clearly be banned for 3 years and still work out. Because what vacuum Ali took is Ali took the vacuum that Malcolm X left. Malcolm X was the one that started going from campus to campus to campus. Ali did the same thing to make a living. I don't know if y'all remember that. His handlers took it. No, I think the Nation of Islam took quite a bit of it. That's why they banned him. You know, that's why they banned him. Because he's like, wait a minute. They've had their hand in my pocket since, you know, I converted. They are my chief managers, and I'm broke, and I'm speaking about being broke. And that's why even in Howard Cosell says, you made tremendous amount of money. How could you possibly have spent it? So he couldn't work out. He didn't have the money. He didn't have the gym money to rent a gym to work out. If you understand that too. He didn't have the money. He didn't have the money to have a team to work out with. Nutritionists, he didn't have that. When the U.S. spit him out, they cut him off from everything. He couldn't travel out the country to fight. He could not get a license. And yet he said he was broke. No way he should have been broke. No way. And maybe the original with the original Europeans from the Louisville group, they were 50% in. Uh, Maybe if he would have kept them when this all happened, because really this is what caused Ali to get banned. Basically, was the Louisville group, because he cut them out, and all of a sudden, plus the government changed from, if you were, now, I don't know if y'all realize this, when the Vietnam War started, when they started drafting people and they drafted people from World War II. That's how most melanated people went into World War II, was a draft. I want to almost say World War I had a draft too, but definitely World War II and Vietnam. So the start of Vietnam, if you couldn't read or write, you didn't go to war. Even if they drafted you, they were pretty much kicking you out for not being able to read or write. Lo and behold, they changed all that up in 1966, I think. Didn't matter if you couldn't read or write. They needed you. But do you see how they changed the rules? See how they changed the rules? At first, you weren't good enough because you couldn't read. But all of a sudden, it didn't matter. They just needed bodies. They just needed bodies. So you can tell that ain't about liberty, serving the country. If at first they didn't think they needed you because you didn't know enough, what happened? And Ali said it. I ain't any wiser or smarter. What happened? Well, you got a lot of deferments. Let's talk about it. You got a lot of deferments. Just like Donald Trump. Bone spurs. Bone spurs kept him from going to Vietnam. Do you know how many rich people got away with that kind of thing? Could pay doctors to say there's something wrong with you? So this is why they dropped the standards. Because what happened is, with a lot of the richer Europeans, they were in college, they were protected. But if they weren't married and had children, once they got out of college, they could get drafted. Unless you had that kind of money to get them doctors to tell them lies for you. Your people could pay the doctors off, and then you got a deferment. Which I didn't understand. That's another thing that I didn't understand. They say Joe Frazier got a deferment for his children, but Ali was older than Joe Frazier. Ali adopted his first wife, had a child. He adopted that child. So why didn't he get a deferment? My stepfather, I know for a fact, got a deferment. Married and 2 children, he got a deferment. Now, my father already says, because I wasn't living with my father, he says he pleaded crazy. That was his story. He pleaded crazy and was able to get out of Vietnam. Now, if that's believable, I don't know. But that's what he claimed. He pleaded crazy. There's a story where of a dude who I don't know. I think I got this story out of Bloods. But the dude wanted to get out of Vietnam. And so what the dude would do is he would just beat his meat anytime. Anytime he was around people, he just beat his meat. And so, they was shipping him up the crazy chart in the army. So he goes and sees the psychiatrist, he beats his meat in front of the psychiatrist. And so, he goes in front of the court martial board and everybody, and he just beats his meat and they let him out. Now, what he got, I don't remember, but it was that was his way of getting out of the service. Because shooting bombs is fun. When they shoot them back, that ain't as fun. And them bombs coming around you, and they're range finding you, and them bombs is hitting near you. Yeah, and you hunker down somewhere, and you hearing them bombs coming. That's why you see a lot of dudes get shell shocked. What they call it, post-traumatic stress syndrome. Streets of America. My son made a wise. Most brothers suffer from that in America, post-traumatic stress syndrome. I would say just being a brother and having the American experience makes you suffer from that. The first person I saw suffer from gun violence, I was 16. I told the story. One of my dear friends, I loved him. We had known each other since infants. We had known each other that long. Our families had known each other since we were infants. And to see him get shot in the face, he was driving, so he had to be 16. He was probably some months older than me. I wasn't driving, but he was driving. So he had to be 16. To see him shot in the face point blank over really nothing. over really nothing. His little brother's daddy shot him because he thought it was the mama's boyfriend. Yeah. His brother's father shot him, thinking it was the mother's new boyfriend. At least that's the story claimed. He got 5 years for that. Accidental shooting. Not attempted murder, accidental shooting. And I'm sure there are many others that can tell very similar stories of this kind of violence. I mean, my son, they had a friend, and I very vaguely remember the story, but it was like a guy who I knew as a boy too, because I refed and I'd run across these children, young men, and someone stole his shoes. He found the shoes, some kind of way he found them. He opens the door. The dude who stole his shoes, where he some kind of way took them back, just shoots him for taking back his own shoes. Dude stole his shoes. The guy finds his shoes and some kind gets them back, and the guy kills him, basically over a pair of Jordans. And so a lot of young men have these type of stories. My son is 33, about to be 34, I think. 89? That make you about to be 34? 22? Yeah, it's 32, 33 maybe. And so I'm sure many of you have these same type of stories. And then television doesn't help you, thinking that you go into a store and they go in there to really kill an inventor. And of course they shoot the rest of the melanated people, but they went in there to kill the inventor. It's pretty plain and clear to see who they went to kill up in Buffalo. They went to kill the inventor. But it makes it look like something else. And the same thing as I talked about in Greensboro, we see the same thing. They killed the 3-4 head organizers. So something that looks like chaos is not quite chaos. As I said, just go back and look at when John Higgins and Bunchy Carter was killed. Joe Brown can still talk about it. So they didn't obviously go in there to kill Joe Brown, did they? If he can still talk about it. And same, Fred Hampton, when the Panthers really had a chance to be something and be about it and help the neighborhoods. Constant warfare against them. Now, is that victimism? When the Panthers were doing civic good programs, and were they social programs? Well, if you live among society, you're supposed to help the society. So if you help the society, and helping the society is social. So if you can build some neighborhood social programs, what harm is that? That is not called communism. That is called the neighborhood working together. The neighborhood trying to uprise everyone that lives in the neighborhood. And the Panthers were successful doing that in cities across the nation. And I mean, the programs were so successful that the breakfast program is still going. That's how successful. They didn't have to even do anything. And of course, Jesse Jackson tried to call Operation Rainbow when the Rainbow Coalition was started really by Fred Hampton. That's another thing that they've changed and taken over. The original Rainbow Coalition was Fred Hampton saying, we're against classism. It ain't racism. We're against classism. So we're willing to work with anybody that is against classism, because that's the real target. Just like I was saying about the book Poor White Trash. They've killed a lot of poor people, poor European people too, and their children. They want them to fight for them, but they despise them just as much. They probably even despise them more, because they look at them and wonder why they're poor, and they have the advantage of being white. That's how rich look at them. They're like, why are you poor? You're white. You're not supposed to be poor. Nico, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. So they don't like them any better. They use them. They use them because that is their buffer class. That is their buffer class. I'll say this, I'll put this out there, like really for reparations, the money should go, the people that should be held up for reparations should be tied into Jim Crow. Nothing slavery, Jim Crow, explicitly. And through Jim Crow, we need to see who financed the White League. We know who financed the Klan, but we need all those records. That should have something to do with reparations, because White League was the legal arm. But when we see taking over in Wilmington and other places in South Carolina where they attacked black towns, Wilmington was taken over and was, wasn't just a melanated town, it was the seat of government. But there were monies raised for these people that didn't have the monies, especially not the monies like Wilmington had. And Wilmington, the people obviously made a big mistake not being a militarized unit for the years of their successive control. Having some type of, and it goes even back to Tulsa, because these were separate cities. So why didn't even Tulsa have a, and Rosewood, the same thing. Where were their police force? Now, granted, Tulsa, they got so-called bombed, but these are the people that are really liable. And I've run across a little bit of the names. So if anybody else wants to take that and run with that, that's who, again, reparations should be done for Jim Crow and not slavery. Jim Crow affected more people that are living nowadays more so than slavery. No one in my life, I know people born in the 1800s, but no one in my life was really affected from slavery. No one that I knew in my lifetime, in 61 years. But my parents and some of your grandparents were affected by Jim Crow. I mean, the migration north was also caused by Jim Crow. Part of it, the Northerners and Southerners working together too, because the Northerners needed them bodies up north. They didn't care at one point. It's like, we need people up here to do these jobs. We ain't got enough Europeans. We need some of them niggas down south to come up here, fill these positions. So that has to be the goal, is Jim Crow, the harm of Jim Crow, and not the harm of slavery. Because the government had a chance to do right by all the people. And someone financed and supplied the South with arms, and they went to war against the melanated people. And the Vatican, D.C. sat there and did nothing. Now, a few times they did send troops in, but these troops should have been in into the 1960s. And I've talked about this before, but that's, for those out there that you really want to sting these people, that should be the goal, not slavery. Should be Reconstruction. And that there was more harm, way more harm done. So understand that, study that. Any of you can go further with that, please do. Please do. Needed that burp. That is my history. No, I'll go a little more of history. Didn't make it out to the mound again. It is 45 minutes away, and it's a 2-hour drive there and back. But still going to end up trying to do it. But I want to say all my people from Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, even going down to Louisiana, the mounds. There's a lot of energy out there. Those of you that live close, and I know 45 minutes isn't terribly far away. I should make that trip. But this is everywhere. But the states, the Midwest states, I mean, as I said, part of the family that I'm associated with in North Carolina, they weren't necessarily wanderers like it's looked at as the mongrel kind of movements of the plains, which came in the 1800s. And not that kind of movements. Is the same as the mongrels that lived up in the steppes, not the movements with the animals. But there were times where certain tribes that did come from the east would wander into some of the Midwest, and we see in the Ohio valleys. This is a very kind of place where they kind of went back and forth during periods, and again staying for long periods in one place or the other. It wasn't like they were just wandering with animals. No, when they were in North Carolina, they were in North Carolina for years, but there were other times where they went into the Ohio valleys and they stayed there for years too. And one of the spiritual experiences me is seeing some of the mounds in Ohio with some of my ancestors, and so those areas, and you know that those areas also is where football was born. You know, in America, football is basically born out of Ohio, kind of thing too, and so it's kind of interesting. Ohio has such a steep tradition in mounds, and the same thing is Kentucky and Tennessee, as well as Wisconsin. Wisconsin almost decimated them all, and at one time Wisconsin had the most mounds anywhere in the world, but of course anywhere in America. But they pretty much decimated most of them. Yeah. What's up, man? Yeah, I should go out there, Key. How you doing, Key? What's happening? What's happening? Thank you for joining me again. Yeah, I should. I just been lazy. I got a lot of running around, so I hope I can get my ass up. How long am I going on? Okay, so it's got to be something after 1. So I didn't quite come on at 12. So yeah, try to get out of here by 3 my time. I'll go on a little longer. I'm gonna be off for a couple of days from the YouTube ways. So the shadow looks like I got a do rag, like right here. Look like a do rag in a way. What? 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 What race am I mixed with? What the fuck is that? Who are you? I'm not mixed with shit. Raced. I'm not mixed with shit. My birth certificate says mother colored, not Negro. Mother colored, father colored. That's what my birth certificate says. Colored, colored. Checks all colored boxes. Says mother colored, father colored, child colored. So I come from colored people, which don't really exist anymore. So I don't know if that's mixed. I guess the word colored means colored. Well, thank you, dear. That is very kind of you to say. Look, we got her on the spotlight. Turn on the spotlight, y'all, and put her on the display. And we're gonna do a show with Cherilita. We're gonna do a show with her too. Bring her in. So I don't know if you're trolling, Danny, but yeah, I don't know what mixed is. Don't really know any mixed people. Mine says black. Really? Yours says black? Really? You was born in the 80s? My son don't say. My sons didn't say it. Wow. None of my sons. It's not on any of my sons. None of my sons. And my son was born in 89. And none of my sons. My oldest son was born in 89, and none of theirs is on any of their birth certificates. Now, my brother says Negro. He was born in 66. I was born in 61. He was born in 1966, and his says Negro. It says father Negro. We have different fathers, but it said father Negro, mother Negro. We got the same mother, and so it said Negro for my mother. Yep. So that's not even a thing anymore. That was part of Jim Crow, though. What other reason do they need to know that for? You know. So that was part of Jim Crow too. They want to label the child so that certain eyes is on the child, melanated child. But that's from Jim Crow. My birth certificate is in August 69. It says Negro. August 15th says Negro. My daughter's is on August 10th. Wow. Yours says Negro. Okay. Yeah, mine says colored. So I'm like 9 years before him. And if it says colored is one of the first words that they tried to erase paper genocide of the American Indians. So, and they know who I am. I used to wonder why, I was being fucked with. I didn't get it, but now I know who I am and who I'm related to and the lands I come from. And if what they say is real about land claims and all these things, if this is real, that land is the blood, yeah, I don't want reparations. I want the land back with interest. So, and I think we have a good case up in Massachusetts. We had a good case because you took the land. They know. So, Danny, I don't know if you're still watching. Sounds like you're trolling. Because if you have watched my show before, you would know the answer to that. But enough on Danny. I wanted to show this. You can see that inside. This is rutilated. It's called Rutil. Looks like little tiny angel hairs is in there. And I'll tell you what, this stuff must keep growing because this is way more. Yeah, must keep growing. Like you can see the line in there, and there's little thousands of little hairs that's growing off that line. But even that line itself is rutil, rutilated. See what he says in the Book of Stones. Might just be under quartz, but nope, right here, 414. Yeah, it must be under quartz. Dang, I am really. Oh, here we go. Tubular, terminated. Oh, right here. Okay, page before, 413. All right. Oh, there we go. Yes. And maybe this picture shows it better. You can just see the lines. And the rutil inclusions usually look like fine metallic hairs of needles, and they can be gold, silver, or copper colored. The quartz can occur in massive form or pragmatic crystals. Most rutilated quartz on the market come from Brazil or Madagascar. Let me see what Natasha says. Kind of like her a little bit. Rutilated quartz activates the higher mind, assisting one in gaining information and knowledge in a spiritual nature. It grounds light energy on the cellular level, helping to bring illumination to all levels of one's being. Rutilated quartz can help one maintain mental focus and clarity and assist in one in following through on ideas or plans. So, if you're not good at that, or, you start things, but then you don't stop, this might be something that can help you. Rutilated quartz appears in several colors, generally ranging from the copper red to golden yellow and sometimes silver rays. The color of rutil inclusion indicate how the stones will direct its light energy into the body. Red to brown needles assist the physical body to integrate higher frequencies of energy and consist in removing blockage to health and abundance. Rutils in the orange to gold ray activate one's creative energy and ability to receive divine inspirations. Rutils of silver bring enhanced intuitive abilities. Rutilated quartz can aid with the work on the etheric blueprint level of consciousness to heal etheric etheric blockages or tears, obstruction of the energy body before the manifestation. So just something that, one of my stones that, but I'll say this, it's like, and I'll answer any questions if any I'm missing it. But one thing about crystals is it's almost like books. It's like what a witch would do is a witch would go in there and look for what spells to use. But people that use crystals and collect crystals, they collect them like that. They'll say, okay, this is the problem. Okay, I have this crystal for that. And that's really how they should be used. It's not like they have to be used all the time. There are specific things, specific crystals for specific things that need to be done. Actually, Black people are really Native Indigenous Americans. Several people that I've met in my younger years say I look more American Indian than Black African. Yeah. And as I said, I know my tribe. I know my father's family tribe, and I know my mother's family tribe. When I see people across the country, that we had to be from the same tribe. I know the look. I know that look so well that I can, like, it's a video I'm about to show, and maybe I'll talk about this, but it's in this video. Their man comes into the screen. He looks like a dude I grew up with. He looks like a dude from the family of people I grew up with. He looks like my friend, actually, but he had to be at least 10 years older than us, at least 8, but he comes from that family. And I see it a lot on Facebook. I'm Facebook friends with people I'm like, you from this tribe, because I look at them and I know the family, and I'm like, you fit into this family. And so something to consider. Know your tribe. Know your tribe. You may not know the people personally, and I ain't saying that you have to have a connection with the person. No, you don't have to. Just recognize it, though. Recognize as you see people and you're like, wow, they had to be part of the tribe. They had to be. How else? And I ain't talking about the thing, your daddy done messed around. No. I'm just saying, the phenotype of your family. You've seen in your life, if you're an adult, most everybody listening to me right now are adults, but you in your adult life, you've seen enough of the phenotype of your family to know when you go out in this world to see other phenotypes that is from your family. And I can't be the only one this happens to. And I had this conversation with several people on Facebook years ago. Know your tribe. I mean, just because and as I said, you don't gotta sit there and talk to the person. I ain't saying none of that. But I'm saying mentally take a note. It just makes you stronger, makes him stronger, them stronger. Like, wow, there are more of us. So, yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, look into that. Don't take that African crap, that indoctrination, and that's what they did, and they hate it. They hate that they be being called out on it. They've been called out on their lies, and they lying for the natives too. A lot of the natives, 10,000 years. Come on, get out of here. We know, they know that Bering Strait shit is all a lie. But it tells you that they came from somewhere else. See, that's the part that they hate to admit. But see, in telling you, they have to tell you. See, they thought that you just listened to the part to say, well, there was a way to get over here. Not to the part that they came from somewhere else. That's where history is important. This is really good tobacco. Wow. Hey, what's up, DT? What's happening? I don't know, Brother MacBone. When they see me, they grab me by the hand and they say that, you must come from a long line of players, because the good as you look and the way you dress, you got to be from one of them player lines. And like, most definitely. One of my mama's proudest moments was she found out about my initiation to the medicine wheel, the red road, receiving the native medicine name, Seven Moons Epic Peaceful Warrior. Oh, how wonderful. That sounds really nice. Um, hmm. Yeah, I work with that medicine wheel energy too. Since I work with directional energies, and the medicine wheel is very much so working with the directional energies. Um, but it's interesting because it's how do I want to say this? The book I read, it leans shamatic in a lot of ways, the shaman type of things in some kind of ways, especially the way they look at every direction. I've come across some of those works in books with shamans. However, they didn't really use shamans have to use some type of demon once they get to where they're going. In some instance, even the demon will do the speaking for them. Whereas I wouldn't really need that. I can do all that myself. I wouldn't need it. Like the ride would come, and I'm like, y'all, thank you, demons. Don't need this help. But that's what they teach, that you need that to move through. You don't necessarily need that. Um, Now, for those of you that want to go down that path, I mean, you can handle that. Yeah, okay, handle it. As I've said, I have used animal energy, and to use animal energy, you don't really need to ask for it from anything but the animal. You don't really need a demon to ask for a buffalo or a lion. You don't need that. So that's kind of how that works. Oh, you can understand that if I made that pretty simple. But if that is your path, I can't say yeah or nay. I just don't need to work with that. How does the song go? Do your thing while I do my thing. That's what I'll tell everybody. You do your thing while I do my thing. Oh, I forgot. Edward Kane. I should always give the Omen people love. Probably don't give them enough love. The power of the transformation, because we are transformative people. We are people not only of the physical, but we are melanated people are also very spiritually connected to something. And you don't give your energy to W.H. Jesus, then this is the natural energy that comes out of the Americas. This transformation. This is pure American. And as Bobby Hewlett said, they made you scared of your own shit. Well, we did come back to reclaim the pyramids, but we also reclaiming this. And I want to hear that shit about these people around the world. You ain't doing this. You ain't from the Americas. There are a lot of demons that are sacred. A Black Panther, Jaguar, Medicine Energy. Oh yeah, no. Let me back up. Let me back up. Let me back up. I didn't say don't work with demons. I didn't say that. I'm saying there are people. Okay, let me clarify. Okay, I'll clarify it like this. There's a part of shamanism that you specifically need a demon to do your shamanism, especially to visit places. You have to have the demon with you. That is the practice. You cannot go any further. You have to contact your demon, and the demon will take you where you need to go. I kind of explained that. Now, As I've said before, it is good to have different things in your bag. As the fool moves through, there's the type, well, in my cards, it shows a canoe, but a lot of times a fool has a bag. Ooh, sorry about that. And there, Brother Edward is right. There are times that you might need a demon in your bag. I think that's fair. I think I'm the one that made up. There are demons that can do good things. There are evil demons. I let me not say evil. There are more wicked demons that will tend to want to do good things to win people over. But your demon, your personal demon, could do positive things for you. So I guess I'll back up saying that. But remember, the difference in shamanism is you're going to rely on the demon more than you're going to rely on yourself. If you see that as the difference. What I confess as the confessor is that you should be the most powerful one and not that. Because after a while, it's not even you anymore. Because it's doing the work, so it's really taking the credit. Whereas if you harness all the power that you have, and then you can bring this in, means spirit in Latin. Demon means spirit in Latin. Well, the other word too is daemon. Daemon is the same thing. A lot of people don't understand that because when daemons are talked about, it is more of a positive. Daemon is more of a positive. Well, I guess Daemon was the original movie with the big dogs and stuff, the Rosemary's Baby stuff. But that's the other word, which they tend to push the word demon more than the word daemon. Yeah, means a spirit. Yeah, so I guess that's much as I could say is like one, you're going to rely heavily on those. The other one is going to just be one of many things you use. Because if you look at like movies, a lot of times what the demons will say is, why are you bothering me for my rest? And what do you need? What are you bothering me from? Now, I guess one could even, if he says demon means spirit in Latin, demon means spirit in Latin, you could look at a guide as the same way. A guide is a spirit. So I guess a guide could be the same thing. But I say, master what you do before you try to master another way. That's all. Don't be caught up like Julia, and you just take any kind of spirituality. That's not it. It's no timetable when you'll get it. And so whenever you get it is whenever you're supposed to get it. So don't try to push, spirituality. Be mindful that there's more you can acquire, but yet be joyful of what you have acquired. And because even me, I just sometimes I think, man, I wish I could just start more on command. And then sometimes, because now I'm keenly aware, I get to meditating yesterday and there's like, they're checking me out because as things started coming in, it was like a little box about this big and I caught it. And I was like, and as I say, sometimes as soon as you meditate, stuff will come in and you'll miss it because if you're not ready, it will really come in. I mean, sometimes soon as you close your eyes, this scene will pop in. And if you're not paying attention, you can miss it because a lot of times when people are like, oh, okay, I'm getting ready to meditate, you're thinking about bills, and I just happen to be, and I meditate with a blindfold. And I just happen to put the blindfold on. And a lot of times I'll kind of push it in a little deeper, but I just put it on and I caught this little scene because the rest of the screen kind of went black. And then this small little pocket was still there. And I saw it and it caught my attention because it was noticeable. But a lot of times this stuff happens so quick that you won't notice it. But I did. It was like, as soon as I went in, that caught my, because I saw a clear picture. As soon as I went in, I saw a clear picture, and I like that more than the black came in and caught my attention. I just looked at that the whole time. I was like, oh shit, how is that happening? I was like, damn, that is really cool. And that caught my attention. And so as it closed and got smaller and smaller till finally it zapped out and the rest of the picture came in. It's like, and then it hit me later. I was like, that was some Czar stuff. I definitely got to get back into my body, mind, master, martial arts, physical training, especially swimming, since the Black Jaguar is a great swimmer besides the tiger. I need that more too. Even if I just go over to the lake and walk in the lake. That's what I used to do. Go in there and walk in the lake and get a little spiritual bath, like just getting in touch with the land, because the water is such a big deal down here. So, yeah. I don't think anybody died last night. Didn't hear anything on the papers or anything that somebody drowned. So maybe they saved somebody. But normally, even if they saved somebody, not sure. As I came home, I saw 2 rescue units over by the dock. So it's a restaurant we have. It's kind of funny. There's a restaurant, and as I say, living in Prior Lake Prior, you can have electric carts, electric, like golf carts. But, and so this restaurant doesn't really have a place for their employees to park. It's so tight where, like, if we were to go, we would probably walk. It's not that terribly far. We'd like 2 blocks, maybe 3 at the most. I mean, it'd be a quick walk for us to walk to the restaurant because we're that close to the lake. But you don't have to. I think you can park this church. You can park in their parking lot too. Maybe they own that land. I'm not sure. It's the church's land, but I noticed they use that parking space. So my daughter's like, no, that's where all the people that work there. But no, it's more that because they're carrying people to go there. So some instances you can park by this church and they'll golf cart you to the place. So it's kind of cool. Because there's not a lot of parking spaces near a restaurant. But yeah, I should go up to the lake and just walk in the water. Water's probably still pretty cold though this time of year. Yeah, June might be still pretty cold, especially since it's going to get 50 again tonight. It's going to get chilly. The cats, the feline family, is the medicine, tometic embodiment of the body, mind, body, and spirit. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yes, my Spirit Wheel book. I don't think it's on this table. Yeah, because I finally finished it. It's like, yeah, I got to get through this book. Knocking down, I'm reading 3, and I got 1 more waiting. So before I get to ordering too many books, so I have to take a break. But yeah, getting through these books pretty nicely. Every day, get up and read. Reading keeps your mind sharp. So I would say that if you're young people, get in the habit of reading a little bit and not just reading from a phone. Facebook can have you reading for hours. You reading stories, but pick up a book and read. Makes your mind sharp. Sharper than what you're going to get from the electronics. Now, if you can read electronic books, which is nothing wrong with that because it's keeping your mind sharp. Reading, I think, definitely fights the memory loss. So Motivate does too, but reading definitely does. So read. Become a society of non-readers. We should read. Reading is fundamental. I've got books, surrounded by books. See? Those are books. And there are books. I don't think it can go lower. But it's, let me see, right here, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's about 20 books right here. Just right here is about 20 books. There's another 2, 3, 4. So, books everywhere. Books everywhere. Well, I think an hour and a half is good enough. giving up my information. Kind of touched on everything I wanted to touch on, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I got to give. I won't be back on until Thursday morning. So I will give the divination. And for the 27th going forward, the card is Menon. It means eagle. That's the Mayan usage. Also commitment, compassion, service, compassionate service, global consciousness, dreams and visions, planetary mind, belief in oneself, or hope. Symbol, gathering of eagles, the third eye, the violet flame. The number is 15. The color is lavender. Herbs are nutmeg and Indian pipe. Flowers are lilac and heather. Flower essence is rock rose cistus for vision. Lavender is the scent. Stones are amethyst, amethyst celestial crystals, lepidolite, and singing crystals. It's a water element, and the energy is from the west. But the way it would be held down or shadow wisdom is being obsessed with service to others, being the rescuer, saving others, not being able to say no, loss of hope and meaning of feelings. And I'll say my Toltec card says this a little differently when it talks about this. What my Toltec card says is, and I'll give you a great example. I had an aunt, and all of a sudden her husband or boyfriend, I think it might have been her husband, I don't know. But he ended up having hip surgery. The hip surgery did not go well, and the guy was pretty much in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. And when this happened to him, they both were in their 60s, so around my age. And for the next 20 years, and she dragged this poor guy to one of our reunions, and I felt so bad because I knew him. I went to college. I went to high school with two of his sons. That's how we met. I met her future husband before I think she did. I'm pretty sure I did, because when I met him, he was married to the dudes I went with high school. So I'd known him for a number of years. Been to his house when he was married to his other person. I remember they had ribs when I was a Muslim. I was like, yeah, them ribs look good, but no thanks. But I tell the story because what she did is, after a while, she couldn't take care of him. It was killing her to take care of him. And she damn near let it kill her. And so at some point, you have to help yourself. You can't give so much to something else or someone else that you don't take care of yourself. Now, again, love, you can love any way you want to, but you have to have that self-love matched. Because some people look at it as, I'm just giving this, I love so much that it should be, rebounded, it should bounce back to me. But that is not always the answer or always the solution. So you have to find a balance of taking care of yourself. So the way you can transform is learn to temper service with nourishment and rest. See, that's what I was saying. Believe in yourself. Follow your own visions and dreams. Remember the person and commitment you have in larger patterns. The harmonic wisdom is the flow. The mantra is, let me see, what is it? Hands kept together at the heart. Moving hands over the eyes and out to the sides of the arm is soaring like an eagle. So like this. So you go here, you go like this. Okay. And you would say, feel the power of my mighty wings, draw you near me and follow me to one's heart at the crystal core. And then you would say, with the vision and hope, I dance and sing here for the one of my heart. Okay, that is cool. Beautiful. So yeah, I give that out to everybody. Indeed. Still hanging in there. Thank you. And so I'm, close it as I always say with moral. It all starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. But they knew that they had exact numbers of years and days before they would disappear as a culture and a lifestyle. But despite that, they grew a civilization that they would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day, and they each knew how to separate cycles in the great serpent, which is our Milky Way. So, if necessary, you can be a neutrino and you can know cycles, separate cycles in the great Milky Way. And as the mind would say, be able to be the eyes of Laura Marsh, be able to zip into a person and, because I am another yourself. So that's how you got to look at everything, as I am another yourself. So feel a little bit of what the other person who is saying it or why or where it's coming from. And definitely rest well and know that you should not be bothered in your dreams. And if you are, you just have to ask the things around you to protect you, because they are still there doing what they're supposed to do while you rest. And since everything comes from earth and everything comes from energy, the energy you put in picking the things out in your room should be enough to stop anything that would bother you. So keep that in mind. And those of you at work, they're listening at work, or if you're listening in the future, may your work time be safe. And may you also be able to go to your family and get the proper rest. And remember, love just is. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, love just is. Love don't go if you send it and catch something and come back. No, love just is. Love means you love before you even catch anything. You already love. That's what it means. And in closing, the words of Lazarus Long, days are long, but the years are short. Oh, and my main man from Japan is nobody's fool. He's back here talking shit the whole show. You're not going to introduce me? No. Happy now. You finally got introduced. This is your bright sun, your time to shine. Sing to the people. La, 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 la. You hear that? Thank you, J Money. Smoke some Kush and pop some Molly. I call that balance. Well, I feel you. Whatever it takes to even you out. And I found one of my older glasses, because if you have a Latham, Sheba Latham, it belongs in something like this, which is called a Yanni. Yeah, Yanni. I think it's still a Yanni. Yanni means a lot of different things, but this is how it's supposed to be. It's an atom, a lot of them, it's not Shiva's penis. It's actually a representation of an atom. And an atom, creates a type of flow around it. So atoms should be placed in a place where, that you can have the things that are working around the atom, the protons and neutrons. And so this is what this represents. So I broke my other one. I had a small one that fit in better. And then I had a bunch of glass. I keep some of the weirdest stuff. Like I kept all my candles for like the last 3-4 years. I wouldn't throw away the glass. I think it's such, like in Michigan, you get 10 cents for a glass. This state, matter of fact, you know how cheap this state is? If you live in Minneapolis, you have to pay. You have to pay them to give them your glass, recycle. I remember dude was paying his water bill and he's like, well, what about your recycle? Are you recycling? It's like, I got to pay to recycle? Michigan, you don't have to pay to recycle glass. You take the shit back to any store and they're giving you a dime for it. It's ridiculous to waste glass the way we waste the glass. And then if you want to recycle it in the city, you got to pay. Is that cheap? Is that ridiculous though? Why would people pay to recycle? For them to collect your papers? Why would you pay for that? It seems like they should pay you. You went and bought the papers. You went and bought the bottles. But then you got to pay to depart, where it's cheaper just to throw the shit away. So how are you encouraging me to do something by charging me? That's not encouragement. That's telling me to say, fuck it. And I used to, when I lived in the city, I was like, fuck it, I ain't recycling. I got to pay. Fuck it. Why? Why would I pay? If I just stuff the shit in this trash bag, y'all gonna take it away regardless. It ain't gonna cost me no more. But the shit I buy that I think ain't worth throwing away, I gotta pay you for you to take it away. Now that's not a hustle. That's a hustle. That's cheating people. That's straight up cheating people. That's straight up a hustle. So those got to be my final words. I gotta get off. But thank you guys for hanging with me. Thank you guys for for watching my videos. The people that watch my videos in the future, I just get blown away. I'm still working on something that I got to finish that. But just point out something. It's nothing interesting, but just point out something, the importance of I don't think we know. Let me say this. I'll say this. I don't think we know what it looks like for us to totally be together. Yeah. I don't know that we have enough positive thing how we worked as something together. I don't know if we understand if we do something spiritually together, what that looks like. I don't think there's any examples out there. Now, I've been talking about one example for a long time, and I'm going to break down that example again. What it looked like where we spiritually do something together under the guise of entertainment. But we use the entertainment to truly do something that spiritually put us over. And I think, like I was saying the other night, saying that the old world, agreeing with quantum science, part of the old world is dead. But if you understand how magic works, magical things that really worked will be like putting a book. Now we have videos, but it's a snippet of the magic that's still there. And every person that can look at this and understand what you're seeing, you keep this alive of the cooperation, because you see something, you say, wow, this is what our essence looks like. This is what it looks like when we are totally one. This is the kind of energy we put out when we are totally one. And I just want to show a small snippet of something that was done. And it was spiritually done, and spiritually we're probably under part of its protection, probably even now. As much as they're trying to kill all the protection off of it, there's still part of it that still works for us. So that's not too contradicting. So I'm trying to see how to do that and put the right words to it to make everything interesting for people. And because now all the major sports, but I can still always make USFL videos, even if y'all like it or not. I'll still make those USFL because y'all be on some USFL, be on some of that entertainment bullshit too. So we saw it today. So, well, guess that's it. Think I got everything out. You got anything else to add, my man? What was that? Talk about the hoes. What hoes? You got hoes. You got fans. What? When you get some fans, ain't nobody sent you no shit that you got fans. This motherfucker talking about he got fans and hoes. What? You have none of that. You see that? You put somebody in your shot and they start thinking they got little famous. Talking about he's got fans. Nobody, you have no fans. The person that kind of helped give you to me, she came over and was surprised to see you up there. She said, you were supposed to keep him in the box. Remember that? She was here last week. She said, you were supposed to be in the box. She was a little mad you wasn't in the box. So what do you say about that? She ain't no fan of yours. Right? She told me to put you back in the box. So what you complained about? Shadow Dweller. I was contemplating compiling my own magical book, speaking of it, just for my own usage. Yeah. My brother makes his own sigils. And I mean deep sigils. So yeah, definitely do that. And I say, yeah, journal magical stuff that works. Yeah. But yeah, that would be definitely positive shadow dweller. Definitely would do that. Yeah, and that's really how what you control, that's all you can really do. You can, put what worked together, because sometimes you forget. Like when I tried this, what worked. And some of the spells you remember, like I already know. I don't care what anybody says. I put the spell on Facebook, enjoy your day. I don't care what anybody says. That's one of my first, I can't say my first spell, but that's one of my spells that worked. Enjoy your day is some shit I put on Facebook, and it spread. It spread. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody was saying that shit 3-4 years ago. And now that shit is spread through Facebook. So yeah, you can do your own magic. See, and that's just something I like. Okay. I wasn't even really trying to do it, but it's like to break that happy shit. Happy. You don't want to tell anybody to be happy. You don't want people to be happy, because when you be happy, you got to be sad. You take both energies on at once. It has opposite. So good, bad. This is good. Smoking the weed. This is good. What's the bad about it? You get the munchies. But yeah, that's how you should do it. Yeah, write that down for you. Journal that down for you. What works, especially if you're an alchemist too. You do a little alchemy. Write down what works. Write down what doesn't work too. Don't only write down successful things. Write down things that don't work. And I said before, it's like there's a pattern here. It's like I'm so in tune to it. I can see, and this, let me say this too. It's like I am so in tune to the path where I can follow it. I do things very much the same way as I approach things. And even when I walk off the path, I look at it and I'm like, okay, even if I walk off the path here, it's still not going to change terribly. So that's a thing you got to understand too. You can't be so locked in to think that there's no variables, because there's always variables. So I even look at the variables. I'm like, and then sometimes I have to turn around like, okay, I need to do it like this. But yeah, I am so in tuned that I just yeah, like just moving and shit. So in other ways, I be missing shit. Like people, I just be missing people and people's intention. I be missing a lot of that. Just I don't know, some of that people be talking to me. I just like, okay, don't be paying attention to them when I probably should. So kind of like that. But yeah, so yeah, definitely do that. That'd be positive. And like I mentioned, put the failures in there too. Don't just put the success in there, put the failures, so you have that marked, like what doesn't work or what didn't work for me. Or you can even say, well, I did it this, and then you can say this didn't work. And then it just like, scientific stuff, then you add another something else to it of your magic, and then it did work. So, you can always try that. It's like, well, I did this in step A, B, C, D, but then the next day I did A, B, E, F, and it worked. So keep that in mind too. So don't just put the successes, put the whole, put the steps in there too. A lot of times the steps are important. Put the steps in there. And remember, even if these steps don't work, just don't stop what you're doing, your practice. What you need to do is try other parts, see what you can add to it. But yeah, definitely don't remember, put all the process in there, as you put it together. Because I mean, you can mentally do that sometimes too, depending on how old you are. Because I take mental notes. That's why I know if I get slightly off the path or I don't directly follow the path. I'm like, it's not that big a deal this time. Other times I see it where it is. And remember, like, you having trouble, do the metal repulsion spells. That works. That's an easy one. And we all drive. Repel all metals. Little simple thing that will repel metal for you. And that's fairly simple to do, but necessary. Yeah. So I've talked about that many times. All right. I'm going to call it. So life, living is a process. It is. It is, brother. The MacBone Files, where, leave you with the transformation energy for sure. Transformation energy for sure. Definitely till we meet again. Look for me Thursday morning. Yeah, Thursday morning be my birthday. So I'm gonna have the jug on my birthday. Yeah, when I come back, it'll be my birthday morning. Yeah, Thursday morning be my birthday morning. So yeah. So we'll definitely have the big cake. I'm gonna get the local beer and buy one of those big ones. And so y'all celebrate that with me as I drink it. I don't know if I'm gonna drink all of it. It ain't that much really. Looks like a lot, but for glasses, it's about 3, 4 beers. You pay as much as a 6 pack, probably 25 for that big jug now, and you only got 3, 4 beers. Well, thank you, brother. That is so nice of you. So until we might meet again, say less.